I'm focused on his spirit cause it keeps me from his fire. The Holy Ghost was with me, so my fear I leave behind. My sins were all diminished when he took that breath and died. And if you think I'ma give up on my God, the devil is a lie. The devil is a lie. The devil is a lie.
Hello, this is Christina Barr. You're watching Black Tea News. Hello, welcome to Black Tea News. I'm host Christina Barr, and today we're going to be talking about Kamala Harris telling her allies she's keeping her options open for 2028. And I'm seeing people on Twitter like, yeah, we owe it to her, and she came so close and got so many votes for only running for 100 and something days, which is crazy because a lot of people are obviously going to vote Democrats anyway. So yeah, but she lost every swing state, and she's still a terrible candidate. And if they want to run her again, by all means, fail once more. But I don't understand why people can't understand that she just ain't got it. And I understand that she's kind of their go-to because they don't feel like they have a really strong bench, and maybe they don't, but there's definitely other people who have a better shot than she does. So I'm a little baffled. So we'll talk about that. Also, Frank Lutz had posted an article or a snippet about an article about Thanksgiving and prices, and people are not buying it. So I want to talk about it with you guys because I mean they're saying how low the grocery prices are for Thanksgiving, and I'm just not seeing it or experiencing it yet. Though yesterday we did go to the store and steak was cheaper than it has been, and probably because I don't know, because people are buying ham and turkey or whatever, but we're eating steak tonight, so yummy. Yummy. So anyway, oh my gosh. Oh, okay, that's a nice turn of events, because at first I was like, "Oh my gosh, no, someone's in the hospital." I was like, "Oh, she's having a baby." So yeah, that's great, Kit Kat. Oh, congratulations. I'm happy for you. So thank you to those watching live, and to those of you who are watching, back later. Thank you for popping in. So we should have a good show today. I'm very curious for your comments when we go through that Thanksgiving article for sure. But this is gonna be my last show of the week because Thanksgiving is Thursday, so I'm just gonna go ahead and do a little vacay. I do have I'll probably still post videos, maybe shorts and other stuff like that, but I do have stuff that's mostly cut that I just haven't posted yet. So just because I'm not live doesn't mean that I still won't post videos to watch. So make sure that you are subscribed and that you guys do hit the notification bells. But I hope you guys again enjoy Thanksgiving with your families, that you show a little bit of mercy to people if you're going to go hang out with some libs and stuff. But yeah, I'd be tempted to start discussion. I don't know, because a lot of times you just really do want to keep the peace and not have to talk about all that stuff. Politics really shouldn't rule your life or whatever, but there's one relative, every time we see each other, he brings up politics or whatever because of a discussion we got into like online several years ago, where I could have destroyed them, but I opted to show mercy, and I set them straight, but it wasn't as rough as I could have gone because I was trying to show respect to them. And then a sibling joined in and was like, "You have no idea how much she's holding back, and every time they see me, they mention and they act like we got beef or something." And I'm like, why are you making life awkward? Like, let's just I don't know, enjoy this dinner or church service or holiday. So I would just advise being careful, whatever. Like I understand the temptation and whatnot, but they know, and and leave it. You can leave it at that. But to all those people out there who are considering just like not inviting family, cutting off family over politics, I don't know how many times I can say that you guys are crazy and it's not worth cutting people off over that stuff. But whatever. It's your life. You can live it the way that you want to. I just think it's crazy and it is sad. Please go to blacktnews.com, check out different content, my website, articles, videos, etc. If you guys like what I do here, you guys can leave a donation on the website because it does cost to stream and run my site, all the good stuff. So you guys can support. I appreciate it. You guys can also do super chats or send stars and stuff you're watching on Facebook, or if you're watching back later, you guys can send stickers on YouTube and stuff too. I do read the super chats, by the way, as long as they're not crazy or vulgar or something. But I do read them. You guys can also check out different merch that's available at blacktnews.com, like the I'm Not the Victim You're Looking For t-shirt, and I got other shirts. You can, get this goat hoodie and other stuff, for the Trumper in your life. And you guys can also check out my books. I have plenty of books that are available. There's a link in the description. They'll take you to my Amazon page where you guys can find some of this stuff. So go ahead and check it out. I recommend that you do. I had someone in the comments, said that they were pro-choice Christian the other day, and because they didn't want to judge others. And so I took some time to talk about that a little bit, but a bigger discussion about that is in my book, of course, God is Blatantly Against Abortion. And I recommend that you guys check that out, get that on Amazon. I do have a second edition that is out, but most of my books are a fiction. I think and this time off, I'm going to double down and really focus and do a lot of writing, write some more articles and write, some of my books and stuff, and trying to whip out a couple more before the end of the year, because there's some more I'd like to publish next year on top of my children's book that my sister is illustrating. So busy time for me always. So I want to see if there's anything else I need to tell you guys. There is a video that I need to shoot. I don't know if you guys, I've mentioned Nala, a former OF, only F, and I'm not going to say more than that. If you guys don't know what I'm trying to say, bless your heart. But it's a popcorn site, very popular one, and if you're still not getting what I'm saying, I don't know what else to do. But she had left the industry and she gave her heart to Christ, and she was on Michael Knowles, and she talked about her conversion. Some people like Pearl Davis have talked negatively about her, don't buy it or whatever, and don't like the idea of whores getting saved and then finding some guy, and because they feel that their value is gone and whatnot, and just no kind of I don't know, redemption, grace in their hearts. And it's awful the way that some people have talked about this girl. Her husband, she's married now, so I mean they have a relationship, and he helped lead her to Christ and stuff, and they seem to be good. And she's like, if you don't believe me, that's okay, whatever, but you can judge me by the fruits of my spirit. And so you can't really do more than that. But anyway, she was on the Whatever podcast, and Andrew Wilson was on there, and they got into some exchanges, some heated exchanges. And there's a lot of people I'm seeing on YouTube and different comment in the comment section or whatever was donking on her. And on Twitter, they tried to take some of her clips out of context to make it seem like she was putting on a grift as far as being a Christian, but that wasn't so. But they did deliberately, deceptively edit the clips, so that's pretty disgusting. But there's some things worth talking about. There's some times where Andrew said some pretty vulgar language, perverse language, I would say, toward her, and her husband. From clips that I've seen, I started watching it. It's an 8-hour episode of the Whatever podcast. 8 hours. And so I'm about maybe halfway, maybe more into it. I'm before her husband shows up. So once I finish that episode and see more context of like the viral clips between her and Andrew, I plan on talking about it because like a lot of people are taking one side or another, and from what I'm seeing it's kind of more nuanced for that, and I think there's correction from the both of them, though I don't know if Andrew would take correction from me because I don't know, I'm a woman, I don't know, but we'll see. You know, I'll give my 2 cents, and I don't expect anybody to really listen besides you guys, I guess. But I think a lot of people talking about are missing some stuff, so I'm taking my time to do the due diligence with the conversation. So assuming maybe I finish it today, tonight, or tomorrow, I'll probably film it and have it out this week too. But that's gonna take maybe going back through the whatever and finding quite a few clips of it. So editing might take a minute, but anyway, that's a video that might be out this week, so be on the lookout. But there's a video that I already shot about Ben Shapiro on when he was on Jubilee, in a conversation he had about abortion, and I was critiquing Ben a bit because he brought up the violinist argument in defense of something. So I just gave some thoughts. So that's mostly edited. So I'll post that. So there'll be some content, even though I'm going to just dip out a little bit, and this will be my last live of the week. So hopefully you guys understand. Anyway, let's hop to it. Let's talk about Harris first and the delusions. So Kamala Harris, and I don't know how much is just tough talk. Maybe it's not just tough talk because she's delusional and she's entitled and she's failed upwards quite a bit. So she might deeply feel that, hey, 28 comes along, that she is still the heir apparent to take this role as leader of the Democrat Party and will run for president. And maybe she felt like that was going to be her destiny anyway, because she did run in 2020 to run for president, and she ran against Joe Biden in the primary. She got out very fast. She wasn't very successful in her endeavors. So so Joe Biden said at first that he was a transitionary figure or whatever in 2020, but of course he ran again. So with him running again, maybe they felt like he would maybe die in office and she'd take over, whatever. But I'm going to assume that her plan as VP was to always run in 2024 or to always run in 2028. So it's not incredibly surprising that Harris is telling her advisors and allies to keep her political options open. But they're also considering her like going California too. So Kamala Harris has been lying low since her defeat in the presidential race, unwinding with family and senior aides in Hawaii before heading back to the nation's capital. But previously, because she has to certify those results of her loss. But privately, the vice president has been instructing advisors and allies to keep her options open, whether for a possible 2028 presidential run or even to run for governor in her home state of California in 2 years. As Harris has repeated in phone calls, I am staying in the fight. She's expected to explore those and other possible paths forward with family members over the winter holiday season, according to 5 people in the Harris inner circle who were granted anonymity to discuss internal dynamics. Her tongue-tied today. Deliberations follow an extraordinary 4 months in which Harris went from President Joe Biden's running mate to top of the ticket, re-energizing Democrats before ultimately crashing on election night. Yeah, it was a crash. She doesn't have to decide if she wants to run for something again in the next 6 months, said one former Harris campaign aide. The natural thing to do would be to set up some type of entity that would give her the opportunity to travel and give speeches and uh, persevere preserve her political relationships. Most immediately, Harris and her advisors are working to define how and when she will speak out against Donald Trump. Why don't you give him a chance, ma'am? And reassert her own role in the Democratic Party, closing out her term as vice president. She's set to preside over certifying the November election she lost to Trump, and then appear at a once and future president's inauguration on January 20th. There will be a desire to hear her voice, but there won't be a vacuum for long, a person close to Harris said. Now, this is interesting. If I was the Democrat Party, I just want to her to go away, because she's not very talented and she just doesn't have it, and she can't speak well. She was obsessed with the equity stuff, and she is a DEI candidate. I know that offended Democrats, but it is what it is, and I would just be glad to be rid of her. And her thinking that she has a political future that's bigger than vice president is laughable. But she could try again, I guess. And it's probably not crazy that I'm reading that her options are open in that kind of way. But I don't even know how she utilizes and makes the same kind of strategies and stuff, or gains more power in the way that the Clintons did, you know? The Clintons, not so much Hillary, but Bill, very charismatic, but Hillary's got more competency and even charisma than Kamala Harris. They were going around giving those speeches and all kinds of different stuff, and the Clinton Foundation was, seemed like funneling money and other things like that, doing some things that reports came out of that weren't too great. But I don't know how she manages that stuff. If people are paying her absurd amount of money for speeches, I'm not saying they won't pay for it, but what are they getting in return? What kind of leverage does she have? What kind of favors do they expect? Because they're not gonna be paying for her ability to communicate. People showed up to her rallies, but lots of people showed up for the celebrities. I'm not saying people didn't show up for her. She was a person who was running, and she is a woman, and she was a woman of color, and there was a chance that she was going to be president. So yeah, there are people who were genuinely excited to see her, but I just think more people wanted to see Beyonce or, Glorilla or other folks. So now her running for governor of California is interesting. And California is a cesspool, and if Gavin Newsom is the governor, why not? She obviously will have more name ID than probably anyone who will run, unless there's another celebrity that decides that they're gonna go to California and run. I don't know, Rock 2026. I don't know when their election is, but in California, if a celebrity decided to go and run in California and they had higher name ID or whatever, that I don't know, but she might be able to take, I guess, the governor of California. But doesn't that seem like, I don't know, a downgrade? You were the vice president of the United States, and now you're the governor of California, but that would give her some executive experience. Ooh, I mean, she's a vice president, so I guess you could say she's serving in the executive branch, but actually being able to run something, California, that would not be good for you. Get out while you can. Leave your liberal ideas behind. That would be awful. But I don't know how the people of California would feel about that, because she wasn't going to win the California primary when she ran for president in 2020. And she did obviously win California when she's up against Donald Trump. But again, that's different when most of the state has blue pockets of large blue populations or whatever, and they were going to vote blue no matter who. But in a primary where people don't like her record, locking people up, holding people longer than their sentences or longer than the court ordered them to be in there for, uh, arresting parents for truancy, trying to get rid of gun rights, you know, and if she was going to run and be the governor of California for a little while, hoping that would also gear her up for another presidential run in the future, I to win that primary, she would have to revisit her leftist ideas, I believe. And so, however, she would actually run California, whether it be campaign or if she actually won, that would set her up for a worse position. If she ran for president again, because people could just point back to her record and say that her record was trash. So, like, there's some Democrats I'm seeing online saying stuff like Kamala Harris, she's running basically as a war hawk and was running around with Liz Cheney and saying she wanted our military to be dangerous, blah, blah, blah. And she didn't run on these cultural issues. It's like, okay, but Kamala Harris has existed longer than 4 months. She's existed longer than that. So we know her. We know how she's been as vice president. We know how she was as a senator, definitely as a senator, and her record in California. So you can't just pretend like all she is and all she's ever been was 4 months. That's crazy. Okay? Someone put a laughing emoji. The idea of her going around giving speeches. Yeah, that just doesn't make sense to me. And her going around and being a voice against Donald Trump, she wasn't a great voice against Donald Trump when she ran, and she didn't have the courage to actually run against like real things that he was genuinely talking about. It was all the Project 2025 stuff. So this is a terrible idea. I can understand her not wanting to go into irrelevancy. And the only way that she could probably go into irrelevancy is because she doesn't come off as very intelligent. So advising people or taking a role, like if she wanted to be the DNC chair, like she's just not going to take a leadership role in the Democrat Party unless she assumes more power. And the only way she's going to be able to do that is if she is the nominee in 2028, which is hilarious, or, she becomes the governor, I guess, of California. It's not the craziest thing in the world because she did win a statewide race before for Senate and stuff. So, did she run there? She wasn't appointed, right? She actually won that. No, she won. She won. She won that election. So she's won a statewide before. So if she's won a statewide race before, it's not crazy that she'll be able to do it again. But it just really depends how the primaries go. And again, even if she does, let's say she becomes governor of California and just rots it out and does such a terrible job and has to and runs it really, really left wing, and she just really, really will destroy herself, setting herself up for a run in 2032. Is that what it'll be? Another 4? Yeah. It's just not gonna work out great for her. Most immediately, Harris and her advisors are working to define how. We already talked about that. Again, on election night, I was at a party in Michigan, with the Michigan GOP and Mike Rogers' team and Team Trump and stuff. And there was all kinds of press in the room, and it's interesting who they choose to interview. Some press I've noticed at rallies and so on, that they will seek out kind of I don't know a polite way to say it, but sometimes the goofiest looking people in the room, like they'll be in a costume or something like that, and they won't go up to like the pretty blonde in a black cocktail dress and be like, why are you voting for Trump? They'll find someone, dressed as Uncle Sam or something, um but anyway, some people will do that, but there was a French team that was there. They interviewed different people, and I stayed pretty late. I stayed there till maybe about 3 in the morning, and they didn't interview me until about like 3. It was really late. And so they asked me, did I think that Donald Trump could unite America? And I said, Americans have to want to be united. And I talked about how I went to the inauguration in 2017, and Trump gave a really good speech. And I didn't stay for the entire speech. I'm left like maybe last couple lines or whatever. Because I don't know how much longer he was going to go, but I knew he was revving up toward the end, because I know how I went to enough rallies that I know when it's about to close. And we were there for a long time. It wasn't terribly cold, but the ground was cold. So my feet were cold, they hurt, and they were numb. And so we didn't stay in DC because the hotels were too expensive. And like we were stretching to get there. And so we needed to catch the train, and I wanted to beat a lot of people to the train and stuff and get back to the hotel. And because I think we stayed in Maryland. And by the time I got back to the hotel, I was listening to the news reports about the address, and the media saying it was dark and it was divisive. And I'm like, what world are you talking about? He gave a great speech. And as a matter of fact, I did a TikTok about this yesterday. I think it was yesterday. And someone in my comments had said that yeah, it was a dark speech. I didn't remember it, and I went back and I read it, and it was a dark speech. And so I just did a video reply to that comment. I'm like, I was at the inauguration. I heard the speech. This person here thinks that it was dark and divisive. So I'm just going to read the speech to you guys. So I just read the speech. I'm like, what do you guys think? And people are like, oh my gosh, that was so beautiful. That was wonderful. That was one of his best speeches ever. And my sister said there was so much like hope and, stuff in it. It just kind of sounded like lines from Kingdom Hearts. So now I have to make a Kingdom Hearts Donald Trump video. But people wanted that perception of the speech. They said the same thing about Trump's speech at like Mount Rushmore. That was a really good speech too. And they reported it like it was so crazy and so divisive and stuff too. And that wasn't the case. That wasn't the case. But they want people to be afraid. They want people to not be united. And his speech was, the only people who should have felt like shaking their boots were the elitists, because Donald Trump was like, it doesn't matter what party is running the country as long as the country is working for the people. And this movement is about turning the power back to the people. That was the whole focus of his speech. We're not going to forget the forgotten man ever again. And we're not going to forget about the people who have been left behind in some of these inner cities. Like, their dreams are our dreams. We share the same destiny together. So it was a very powerful speech, but they didn't want it to be a powerful, uniting speech. And I don't really feel like America has been like really, really united. Probably not since 9/11, to be frank with you. I mean, a lot of people were inspired and stuff and, optimistic about Obama, but but really, 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 really united. I don't think I've really felt that since 9/11. You know, And I think that's a shame, but I really don't think people want to be, or the powers that be, whether it's government officials, politicians, activists, or journalists, they don't want us to really be united. Too much clicks and cash off of division. So Kamala Harris going around saying, or her advisor saying, yeah, she's going to be working about how she's going to be a voice against Donald Trump. They're not intending on giving him an opportunity to lead. And that shouldn't be a news flash to us, because they didn't give him an opportunity before. They were always coming at him the whole time. He came into office after being spied on, with Hillary Clinton's plot of the Russia collusion thing beginning to bloom, the FBI setting up Michael Flynn, which, by the way, Joe Biden also had suggested while he was the vice president, using the Logan Act against Trump's people too. So, he came in with people gunning for his folks, finding ways to indict people and have them spend all this money, defending themselves in court, and et cetera, et cetera. They impeached him twice. Like, he came into office with people wanting to impeach him. He ain't do nothing. And the things that he did that they impeached him over really wasn't worthy of him being impeached either. I can understand emotions being hot after Jan 6, but just from a justice standpoint, they didn't even have enough time to really objectively measure the facts to give him a fair shot anyway. Because things that they said in that trial didn't even turn out to be true. But she's already planning to be negative, and a big fault with her campaign was that she was so negative. At the same time, Harris and her husband, Doug Imhoff, will have a long checklist to plow through before they leave the Naval Observatory for good. They have to decide whether they'll take up a permanent residence at their home in Los Angeles or establish a base elsewhere. No matter where Harris and her family live, some around her have expressed concerns about safety, as her Secret Service protection expires 6 months after her stepping away. Following her meteoric rise in Washington and California, there are internal questions about standing up a federal committee to raise money. It will be the first time in 2 decades that the former senator and career prosecutor will be out of public office. Well, don't worry, she got a Glock, right? So she got a Glock. That means she'll be standing up a personal office and nurturing her massive online presence without the organizing principle of day-to-day governing. Now, I can understand, it seems weird to me that they just I guess people just don't think about vice presidents like that, but I don't want to be mean, but I'm like, who would care enough about Kamala to even bother? She can hire security, whatever. I am thinking about the fact that she doesn't think that citizens have a right to private gun ownership, because she did sign that amicus brief for DC versus Heller, and it was arguing that the Second Amendment was for militia and not for private firearm use, and she supported, banning firearms like San Francisco and stuff. So if she doesn't believe that citizens should be allowed to protect herself, now she's in this precarious situation where her Secret Service is going to run out. And if I don't blame them for, being concerned about their safety, but there's lots of people, including very famous high profile people, who have to just pay for security themselves. So they can do that. They can do that. You just got to let them marinate in their own success or their own failures or their own mistakes or their own achievements. This is personal, said Donna Brazil, a close ally of Harris's campaign manager for Al Gore in the last vice. Donna Brazil was a campaign manager for Al Gore. Okay. I didn't know that. That just seems like she would have been terrible. The last vice president who ran for president lost and never ran again. He instead made climate change the cause of his life and spread a bunch of crazy lies. Brazil recalled how Gore was given months before the people demanded an answer about his next moves, and that over the last few months, Harris, despite her defeat, has earned a lot of political capital. You don't squander that by making snap decisions. While other Democrats have lost presidential races and have been forced to regroup, none of the modern era inherited the nomination roughly 100 days before the election. Indeed, most of the prior losses occurred after a carefully planned and often arduous climb to the top. Harris, 60, is comparatively young. There is no one who actually can relate to what she's been through these last 4 months. No one, said Paul Maslin, the Democratic pollster, and I wouldn't begrudge her at all to take some time and figure this out. But others close to Harris believe that the current news cycle and speed at which Democratic Party might start making decisions will force Harris, who tends to deliberate in long periods, to make some early decisions. In interviews with Harris aides and confidants, as well as Democratic luminaries, there are board acknowledgments that Harris represents on X Factor in the Democratic primary, while some Democrats are dismissive of a 2028 run, and few, if any, prospective opponents would defer to her. Harris notched more than 74 million votes and was able to build goodwill among a large group of Americans. The good news for Harris, according to her allies, is that her standing in the party increased the longer that she ran her short campaign, which is rare in electoral politics. Her allies believe the toxicity that surrounded John Kerry or Hillary Clinton after their losses is unlikely to taint Harris's political future in the same way, because those people are freaking delusional. They point to her running a race as a more moderate candidate, a break from her 2019 primary. She did try, but we know who she is, and a boon to whatever choice she ends up making, as the party seems poised to do its own large move to the center. Yeah, right. They're not moving to the center. She proved a lot of skeptics wrong as a political athlete, and her standing with the public is as good as any Democrats with name ID that she has. A Harris ally told Political, "These people are delusional." Oh my gosh. Meg said, this puff sympathy piece is a bit heavy-handed. It's everywhere, man. These people don't get it. They don't get it. A snap poll of the 2028 Phil found Harris at 41%, a significant lead over others: Gavin Newsom, Josh Shapiro, Tim Walz. Who would want Tim Walz to run for president? Pete Buttigieg, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Gretchen Whitmer, Petey Pritzker, Andy Beshear, and several others who were in single digits. Out of that list I just read, the people who could go the distance, in my opinion, and I don't like these people, it's the same ones that I have said for a while, and I would say Josh Shapiro and Gretchen Whitmer. And Gavin Newsom is a name that's been thrown around a lot as well. But I think Gavin Newsom has run California way to the left and signed too many controversial bills, and too many crazy things happen there. And just like Kamala Harris's California record came up to bite her in the butt, Gavin Newsom is going to experience that same thing. Now, Gretchen Whitmer, some of her lockdown stuff could always follow her as well and not be good for her either. And she will be, I don't know what she has a PAC that she's running. She's, raising a lot of money and other stuff like that. And she has a lot of connections. Her dad used to run Blue Cross Blue Shield. So she'll be around. She'll be building a war chest, and I'm assuming, will be ready to go in 2028. Josh Shapiro will still be a governor. He'll be a fresh face that's still doing stuff. So I think a big reason probably why he didn't want to run with Kamala Harris is because it was unlikely that she was going to win, and he didn't want to hurt himself either. So Tim Walz, that's so stupid. I know Pete Buttigieg obviously had, higher aspirations, but he was a mayor, and the biggest thing he did was transportation secretary, which he didn't do very well, So if AOC wants to run, she could get some, fire from some engaged people, but as far she'll probably have a Bernie sort of burnout with folks. Like it'll start to get, maybe she could win a primary state or something like that, but eventually the people will coalesce and they'll push her back down. So I don't know what's up with this polling. Again, Kamala, fresh face, she just ran. People feel bad, or people went out and they supported her. They had her lawn signs in their yards, and more people know her nationally than they know these other people who are governors and so on. So it doesn't, I mean, it makes sense to me that people will put that in a poll and have her be the number one choice and taking a lot of that lead. But in time, as people actually go out there and push for a primary, if they can overcome her name ID, it makes more sense for the party to pick someone else. But they are very doomed in their woke ideology, and for them all to just overstep a woman of color, maybe they can't do that. Maybe that's not within them. Pete's not gonna. Kamala Harris was my least favorite in the 2020 roster. I did not like Pete either. He was probably my second least favorite. I did not like Pete. He was so, like, I don't know, swarmy and slimy. Like, he's just trying to be nice, but he said the craziest stuff. Took the Bible out of context and all kinds. I just did not like Pete. So people are concerned that he lives in my state now. He might, I don't know if he might run for governor or what. He doesn't run for, they have 2 Democrat senators, so it wouldn't be senates, but that's a concern. That's a concern. But Harris's advantages are not unique. Similar surveys taken 2 months after the 2016 campaign, for example, found Clinton with a large lead for 2020, with majorities of Democrats saying they wanted her to run in the next cycle. So yeah, I can't conceivably imagine the party turning to her a second time, said one Democratic strategist, granted anonymity to speak candidly. If she opts not to run in 2028, the earliest clues about her political future could come around whether she runs to succeed Newsom of California. Prospect Political first reported in May. Her office pushed back strongly at the time, yet the mere idea of her running again in California has frozen the field and kept some fundraisers on the sidelines. That's interesting. While there's disagreement among people who know Harris well about what office she should run for, there's emerging consensus that she probably can't do both, compete for governor, and then turn around and start presidential campaign a few weeks later. The calendar alone would make that difficult, with the 2028 primary gearing up immediately after the midterm elections. Harris confidants also point to the demands on a governor's time and the expectation in the electorate that she would stay home and dig into the state's mounting challenges around the high cost of living, homelessness, and crime. It's a real job, is how one of the people close to her put it, contending they were at first dismissive of the idea she might do it, but now feel like it's possible. I think that is, I mean, she obviously just tried to run for president, but I just feel like that is too much of a job for her. And maybe she knows it. And if she doesn't run for governor, Harris will have to consider the cost of staying out of an open race in a state where other high-profile offices are not likely to come up soon. Both Senate seats will be filled for the foreseeable future by relatively youthful incumbent senators, Alex Padilla at 51 and Adam Schiff, 64. Advisors and aides to several other candidates conceded that the gubernatorial run would almost certainly clear the field of serious challengers, leaving a mix of Democratic also rans and unproven self-financed candidates to take her on. Yeah, so maybe no one would really want to run against her and she would just clear the field. That's interesting. The state hasn't elected a Republican to the office since Arnold Schwarzenegger nearly 20 years ago, and Harris, who would be about 72 after 2 terms, could view the governorship as the capstone of her political career, or potentially pass on 2028 and still run for president in 2032 if there is an opening. She's not someone who makes rash decisions. She takes sometimes a painfully long time to make a decision. So I would pretty much guarantee you she has no idea what her next move is. So Brianna Brokaw, a former Harris aide who has remained close to her circle. Could she run for governor? Yes. Do I think she wants to run for governor? Probably not. Could she win? Definitely. Would she like the job? I don't know. Could she run for president again? Yes. Brokaw said. Would she have a bunch of skepticism from the outset because she has run a full length Democratic primary where in 2029 she didn't even make it long enough to be in Iowa caucus, and then she wins the nominee this year. He added, on the other hand, people can learn a lot from their previous adversity too. Yeah, I don't think she's one of those people. I don't think she's one of those people. So supposed to put Harris and AOC in a cell. Yeah, yeah, she's she's relatively young compared to other people, but she's she'll she'll get up there real fast. Yeah, I don't know but I don't know if she would want that job as far as being governor. So interesting. Now let's get on to the Thanksgiving story that I'm sure that you guys are gonna be like, what the heck? What the heck? Now, I saw my friend retweet this first. This is Savvy. So that's how I found it. And that's what a lot of people's reactions are. Because Frank Lutz had said the average cost of Thanksgiving dinner estimated at $58.08 for a 10-person gathering has dropped 5% since last year, the lowest since 2021. And so Savvy's like, that's a bleep lie. And that seems insane to me. And then he's like, straight from the Farm Bureau. And it's a turkey, 16 pound, 25.67. My mom handled the Thanksgiving stuff. I have never had to buy all this stuff for Thanksgiving. So like the turkey or whatever, never had to buy one in my life. So if you in the comments or whatever think these prices are wrong or whatever, you can let me know. But they don't have a ham on here. And there's certain things that they've been following surveys through the years. And I think when you consider the ham, the prices have gone up for the per dollar for family or whatever. But I sent a message to my sister who did buy the ham because you guys know my mom passed away, so we're divvying up the different responsibilities for the Thanksgiving dinner between the siblings and stuff. So my sister Sabrina bought the ham, and the ham was over $90. She got a honey baked ham, and she said it was $95 and you better eat all of it, was her message. So I don't know in what world the Thanksgiving dinners are $58, like $5 or whatever per person, for $58 for a family of 10. And we've always been about a family of 10. So that don't sound right at all. Cranberries, $2.35, sweet potatoes, $2.93, carrots and celery, 84 cents. Green peas, $1.73. I don't even like peas. Pie shells, $3.40. Cube stuffing, $4.08. Dinner rolls, $4.16. I think they said the dinner rolls were up. Pumpkin pie mix, $4.15. We don't do pumpkin pie. We do sweet potato. Whole milk, $3.21. The milk, that seems about right. Whipping cream, $1.81. So people are like, Frank, all this stuff doesn't sound right. So um I'm gonna go ahead and pull this up. I got it on my phone, so you guys can't follow along, but this is from CNBC. Thanksgiving dinner historically affordable this year. Do y'all believe that? Now, is it less expensive maybe from last year and other times through the Biden administration when inflation was like 11%? Sure, I guess, but depending on what it is, what we're talking about, again, some for just had sweet potato pie for the first time a couple weeks ago, and it was amazing. Yes, sweet potato pie is amazing. I've had pumpkin pie, but someone said they liked sweet potato pie. Sweet potato is delicious. I like it baked next to a slab of steak and butter. Yum. Yeah, a sweet potato. Eating it like just a normal baked potato. Good. I mean, we have sweet potato pie and we have yams for Thanksgiving. So the yams is a side dish, and the sweet potato pie is the dessert. My mom would only make it like for Thanksgiving and Christmas, and maybe I guess we'd still have it left over for New Year's. Rarely maybe on Easter, but it's usually just for like reserved for end of the year holiday. So it was always very special. Anyway, let's read this article. You may not know it by looking at sticker prices in grocery aisles, but Thanksgiving dinner is more affordable than it has been in years. The cost of this year's holiday feast, estimated at $58.08 for a 10-person gathering, or $5.81 a head, dropped 5% since last year, the lowest level since 2021, according to a national survey of grocery prices by the American Farm Bureau, which represents millions of U.S. farmers, but the picture improves further when adjusted for inflation. If your dollar had the same overall purchasing power as a consumer in 1984, this would be the least expensive Thanksgiving meal in the 39-year history of the AFBF Thanksgiving survey, other than the outlier of 2020, the authors wrote. So we're just, ignoring 2020, okay. For plenty of households, it doesn't feel that way. A defining feature of the post-pandemic recovery and the 2024 election is a divergence between Americans' sour views of the economy and its underlying strength. Many shoppers understandably focus on price levels, the dollar value of the things they buy, rather than those purchases inflation adjusted or real costs. The latter is the true test of affordability, since it reflects an often underappreciated piece of the inflation puzzle: wage inflation. And instead, while Thanksgiving food prices are up 19% since 2019, according to the AFBF, federal data shows median household wages growing by about 25% during the same period. Yeah, but I still don't think that, even though wages have gone up and wages have not gone up for everyone, and they acknowledge that too, but people still feel like they made less. Even I've heard this from so many people, that even though they made less on their paycheck, technically, just by pure dollar amount, not inflation or whatever, but they made less money, like maybe when Trump was president or whatever a couple of years ago, because people tend to get raises and so on. But it's still harder for them to survive because of the cost of different things now. That's what they say. A lot of people have said. And there are people who their paycheck automatically goes up. Like if you work for the post office or something, and they negotiated in that their raises automatically go up, adjusted with inflation. So you might be struggling out there, but the federal government's still passing out them checks, but I know a lot of people who their job hasn't given raises and stuff. So they're just out here struggling. I had a video that did about 3 million views on TikTok, and that video was Joe Biden. He was talking about he was trying to blame the economy on shrinkflation and stuff, but he was saying that people had money, they just are upset that they have to spend it, you know? And that was the thing, like, oh, people have money to spend, that's good, you know? But people were like, I ain't got no money to spend. And so many people told their stories about how they were struggling, like teachers saying that they don't have food or very little food, and story after story after story about people just not having money. So it struck a chord with people on both sides of the aisle, them trying to pretend like people got money, and they're telling you they ain't got the money to spend. They're deciding between food and medicine. So I don't know what couldn't ring true in people's heads about all this stuff. And that's why you have such the huge disconnect with the economy, because they're just insisting like, oh, well, your wages went up or whatever. And you guys have the money. They're like, no, we do not. We promise you the money is the money in the room with you now. You know? Anyway, what's more, the average American also has to work fewer hours to buy the same meal. In previous years, the report added, wages continued to grow faster following the COVID-19 pandemic, even as inflation cooled, because average wages rose 4% from the 2023 to 2024. It took 9% less work time for us to pay for this year's Thanksgiving dinner. You know what? I don't even think macaroni. I'm sorry, I'm distracted. I don't even think like macaroni was on this list. Like ingredients for macaroni. I'm like, what kind of Thanksgiving dinner was this? Now that I think about it, I'm like, I don't even think there was. Okay, I don't know what you all guys eat for Thanksgiving, but we have a turkey, we have a ham, we have dressing, we have deviled eggs, cranberries, yams, rolls. We used to get different rolls, but now we just buy those Hawaiian rolls. The Hawaiian ones are really good. I contemplated getting some from Texas Roadhouse, but I don't know if they're open on Thanksgiving. I don't know how that'll go, getting them rolls, and I don't think I want them from the night before or whatever. But they got some good rolls with the honey butter, and they're kind of cheap too. Like a dozen is like half a dozen. I think a dozen is like $5. So I was very excited to find that out. We have green beans. And maybe that's it. I feel like maybe that's it. And then for dessert, we have sweet potato pie, and there might be a cobbler. And there could be a cheesecake, but there's not going to be a cheesecake probably this year. But usually what my mom would do, my brother might, my sister would bring over like cheesy potatoes for like hash browns, and they're cheesy and stuff. But we'd have I don't know if I said macaroni, but we have macaroni, So there's just this image, this graphic here about different stuff that people use, like there's just things missing. I'm like, where's the ham? The $95 ham. And I mean, if you make the ham and put the cloves and all that stuff and cook it, I'm assuming it's cheaper. But she got a honey baked ham, and there's like a company, Honey Baked Ham, that makes the ham. So that's where my sister got it from. Of course, pay gains haven't boosted all workers evenly, so they admit that. And long-term expenses like housing costs and childcare continue to squeeze families up and down the income spectrum. While consumer confidence has jumped in recent weeks, it remains below pre-pandemic levels. Still, and that's another thing to consider, like there might be sticker shock on other items that people have, because there's only so much you can put, I think, on the groceries and stuff. But if you have a big box store, you can make up margin in other places, and so on. So all these things still compound for the American family. Still, the AFBF report said, even with the decreasing purchasing powers of the dollar, some of the goods in our basket are at their long-term lowest prices, even in terms of the current dollar price. Turkey, for instance, is 6% cheaper than last year, despite bird flu knocking out a portion of turkey inventories. Tighter availability usually drives up prices, but Americans are eating about 1 pound less of turkey per person each year, reducing demand by more than enough to offset the supply hit. Oh, so people are getting smaller turkeys. I do think that we were starting to get smaller turkeys too. Certain processed foods that may land on Thanksgiving tables are more expensive. Dinner rolls and cube stuffing are each selling at 8% more. Than a year ago. On the flip side, sweet potatoes and whole milk have seen the steepest annual price drops, falling 26% and 14% respectively, while fresh cranberry prices have climbed 12%, reversing an 18% decline on the year before. They remain at their lowest level since 2015, and when adjusted for inflation, they're on par with prices back in 1987, the report said. These affordability gains are good news for inflation-weary shoppers, many of whom are increasing focused on the value this year. Major consumer brands have been chasing bargain-hungry customers with price cuts and promotions for months. Some, such as Walmart and TJ Maxx, are seeing greater success than others like Target. The wave of discounting has become more competitive heading into the holidays, and grocery retailers are no exception. Food eaten at home was just 1.1% pricier last month than the same time last year, compared with a 2.6% average run up in consumer prices overall. Both Target and Aldi have rolled out Thanksgiving deals priced lower than last year. Target is offering a $20 Thanksgiving meal for four, including a small turkey, canned vegetables, a stovetop stuffing mix, and Aldi has a $47 meal package for 10 people, which it's advertising as lower than its 2019 prices. Walmart is promoting an inflation-free Thanksgiving meal of 29 items that can serve 8 people for $56. Amazon Fresh is offering Thanksgiving discounts on turkey, sides, and dessert, feeding 6 people for less than $5 a piece, plus extra savings for Prime members. The flurry of promotions creates plenty of opportunities for comparison, shop experts say. I would just advise consumers to take a look at what those meals are comprised of, said Robin Wenzel, head of Wells Fargo Agri-Food Institute. Don't be afraid to check out multiple retailers. Some Thanksgiving meal packages offer more ingredients, but that could mean preparing more dishes from scratch. Others have fewer items but require less prep work. Thanksgiving in many families is so personal, Wenzel said, and the range of offers allows consumers to tailor their grocery shopping to their gatherings. I must have read the part about the ham already and stuff, because with the retailer stuff. Yeah, that's about the end of the article, but yeah, my sister mentioned how the steak was down. I already mentioned, I mentioned the steak was down and we eating steak tonight. That I already told the people. I already told the people we eating steak tonight. Yeah, so go check your grocery store. Maybe the steak prices are down because everybody's buying ham and turkey or whatnot. So people aren't feeling it, you know. But it's good that, places are doing deals and meeting the demand and meeting customers where they're out at so they can buy. And I'm sure the making deals on the things that they're putting out there encourages them to buy other, products as well. So, that's good. That's the market. But I just people are like $58 for 10 people. Like, what world are you living in? I know there's someone on TikTok that makes dollar store meals, for families or whatever. And they were doing like a Thanksgiving meal for like, I think $20 or something like that. And I'm just like, is this like an extension of that or whatever? Because I just don't know what they talking about. Like $58 to feed a family of 10, because that is not what's happening. That's not what's happening. We went to the grocery store last night and spent 100. People in the comments were like, I spent 300 some dollars at the grocery store and stuff. But we spent about our goal was to spend less than $200, and we did. And we didn't even like, we got stuff for Thanksgiving, but we did get the steak. But it's not like we got stuff to stock our fridge, Stuff is just expensive, guys. Keep gaslighting people. They will tell you when the economy is good. You will feel it. The consumer optimism and stuff will go up. You'll see it. But we are just not there right now. Anyway, that is, believe it for today. There were some interesting clips with Scott Jennings from CNN, but I'm out of time, so I'll table that. Maybe I'll make a little video addressing it later. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Please go to blacktnews.com, check out different content, a website, articles, videos, etc. If you like what I do here, please consider leaving a donation at blacktnews.com/donate, because it does cost a stream and run my site, all that good stuff. And you guys can check out different merch that's available at blacktnews.com, like the pumpkin spice season mugs and different t-shirts. I hope Canada, you guys make some good decisions about your elections and stuff. I hope you guys can, make it out like we did. Get rid of Trudeau. And you guys can also check out my different books that I have available. I've got children's chapter books and young adult stuff. So you guys can go check out my stuff. I do also have nonfiction books, like, of course, God is Blatantly Against Abortion, that you guys can check out, and Slay Your Fear, How to Overcome a Spirit of Fear. And yeah. Anyway, thank you guys. I hope you guys enjoy Thanksgiving and don't cause too much of a ruckus, with your family who has different political views. We're not going, I'm going over my siblings' house, my dad's house and stuff, but that's it. So we are all on the same political wavelength. So if we have disagreements, they're just kind of disagreements in a primary season, but we all voted for the same person for president. So we just don't have that kind of drama. I have like aunts and uncles or whatever that voted differently, but yeah, it's just going to be kind of hopefully a chill Thanksgiving, and not one that's like super emotional, whatever, but it's the first one without my mom. So, hopefully the food will taste as close as possible to hers, but it's not going to taste exactly the same. So I'm sure that'll cause some sadness, but just, I don't keep me and my family in your prayers and stuff, and your thoughts and considerations, and hope you guys enjoy the weekend. And I will have some other videos and stuff and articles and things popping up, so even if I'm not live, there's still stuff to catch. So God bless you guys, and I will see you, I guess, maybe on Monday. God bless. At least live on Monday. You might see my face and other things very soon, but God bless.